Whether it's for the Academic IELTS exam or the General IELTS exam, you may find that the reading section is the most challenging. So what I want to do is just share with you my top tips for the reading section. And it applies to academic or general because the question types for both tests are exactly the same. The only difference is in the texts. In both, you have to deal with 3 texts, but the academic text may be a little bit more challenging. But nonetheless, the question types and the strategies are exactly the same. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So let's look at the top tips for the reading section. The first tip is that when it comes to the reading section and you receive your booklet and you're ready to begin the exam, you start with the text. And you look at the first text and you do only 3 things. Just 3 things. You don't read the whole text. You only want to take a look at 3 things to get you started. You want to look at the title, and if there's a subtitle, you'll look at that. And then you'll take a look at the first paragraph and the first paragraph only. And once you've done these 3 things, the title, subtitle, and the first paragraph, you'll already have a good idea and you'll start to become familiar with what the text is about. And once you've done these 3 things, then you move on to the second step, which is to look at the first set of questions. Now, in the reading section, you have 40 questions in 3 sections, and each section contains 13 questions, and one of them will have 14 questions. And usually these 13 questions will be divided up into 2 types of questions. But all you want to do with as you begin your strategy is to look at the first set of questions. And as you look at the first set of questions, you'll want to start identifying the key words that you can mark or underline that will give you the best clue for finding the information you need to answer that question. So you'll use a keyword strategy. And just briefly, keywords are things like dates and times, proper names, even technical words or unfamiliar words. Words that you don't know and don't understand are not necessarily a bad thing, because if they're unique words, unique to the text, unique to the topic, they will often be a good source of finding the information you need. And you'll also want to be aware of adjectives that narrow down what you're looking for. For example, if you're looking for the biggest of something, you're going to be able to identify that quickly from other information that may describe the average. Or if you're looking for the smallest, these kinds of adjectives, superlatives, and comparatives can make a big difference to helping you identify the information. So a good step is to understand the keyword strategy for the reading section. And I'm not going to go into detail with this video, but I've provided a link to another video that I've created all about the keyword strategy. And in just a few minutes, you can have a really good idea of how to put this keyword strategy in place. But you're only going to look at the first set of questions. So by this time, you've looked at the title and subtitle of the text and read the first paragraph. And now you've looked at the first set of questions and marked the keywords. And you've become more and more familiar with the text before you've even taken a good look at it. And this goes a long way to helping you find the information and answer the questions in the shortest time possible. Just in just these first couple of steps, you're already well on your way to identifying key information in the text. So once you've taken a look at the first set of questions and marked the key words, now you want to go back to the text. And this is where you're going to deal with the whole text all at once, the complete text, because this is a step that you only want to do once. So you're going to skim the text, and you're going to mark the key words, the same type of keywords that you used in your strategy for the questions: names, dates, unique terms, adjectives. And you're also going to look for synonyms or paraphrases of words or phrases that you saw in the questions. But the key thing about skimming the text is that you read every word as fast as you can and mark key words while you're doing this. And you want to do the whole text so that you only have to complete it once. Now, this may take 4 or even 5 minutes out of the 20 minutes you have for each section, but it's well worth it to get it done and get it done once so that you don't have to repeat it. And this will help you to answer the other questions more quickly in the time that you have remaining. So do a good job of skimming the text and marking every key word, not just the words that you saw in the first set of questions, but key words that will help you when you eventually look at the next set of questions. And by doing this, the second set of questions in your dealing with the text will go quicker than the first set. So you will actually pick up speed when it comes to answering questions as you go through each section if you follow this strategy, because that's a real key when it comes to the reading section. And then you begin answering. You go back to the questions, you look at the question that you need the information for, and then when you go back to the text, you're not reading every word anymore. You're just scanning the text and looking for the information that you've already identified as being key and important for answering the questions. One thing I should add when it comes to reading the text and skimming the text, you're not reading in the IELTS exam, you're not reading to understand everything you read. You're not reading to be able to remember it later or recall any of the information. And you're not reading it with any kind of prior knowledge or understanding of the topic. You don't have to have that. The goal for the reading section is not to understand and comprehend everything you read. The goal of the reading section is really, no matter what type of question it is, to identify the information you need to get the answer to that question. Because your goal in the reading section is to get as many correct as possible. You have 40 questions, you get 1 point for each question, and you don't lose any points for missed questions. So your strategy with the reading section overall is just to get as many correct as possible. So first of all, you just get introduced to the text, reading the first paragraph and the titles. You look at the first set of questions, identify keywords. You're becoming more familiar with the text. Then you skim the entire text, reading every word and underlining the key information. And as you come to this step where you begin answering, as you're scanning the text, you already have a good idea where all the information is located, and you'll be able to answer more effectively and more efficiently when it comes to the reading section. One key thing to realize, and this is so helpful when it comes to finding the information you need and answering the questions, is to know which types of questions come in order and which type of questions don't come in order. If they come in order, this means that the questions that you're answering are found in the same order as the answers appear in the text. So once, for example, in multiple choice or sentence completion, short answer, matching sentence endings, true, false, not given, or yes, not, no, not given. These are the types of questions that come in order. So if you're dealing with question number 1 and you find the answer in the text, you know that the answer to number 2 is going to come somewhere in the text following where you found that answer. And the same with number 3. Number 3, the answer to number 3 will appear in the text after the place where you located the answer to number 2. And that's true for these 6 types of questions. There are other types of questions that don't come in order, and these are like diagram label completion, note, table, and chart completion, matching information, matching headings, and matching features. These are a little different challenge than the ones that do come in order, but it's the same strategy that we've talked about up until we've reached this point. But if you understand which ones come in order and which ones don't come in order, this will help you in your strategy for finding the answers. So the most important thing at this stage when it comes to your preparation is to make sure you know how to deal with each different question type. There's about 11 or 12 different types of questions, and in your preparation, practice and make sure you know how to deal with each specific question type. And if you want some more detailed information and lessons on each specific question type in the reading section, I've included a link to the playlist for my YouTube channel, and I would encourage you to use that to help you to prepare. And I would also encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there are over 150 videos on everything you need to know about the IELTS exam, every section, every question type, how to have the right attitude, and how to stay motivated. Everything that you could need to help you in every way for the IELTS exam, you'll find there, because I've made it my mission to help you get the score you need on the IELTS exam. So just become very familiar with every type of question in the reading section, know which ones come in order and which ones don't, and this will go a long way to helping you achieve the score that you need. The next step is, once you've answered questions, you can eliminate those questions. And what I'm talking about is, there are questions on the where you have to choose from different options. Once you've chosen an option, eliminate it. Just scribble it out so that you don't even look at it anymore. You're not distracted anymore. So that if you have to choose from that same group of options to answer another question, you won't even consider the ones that you've already used. And this is a good time-saving device, because, for example, on question 1, if you have to choose from 8 options, once you've chosen an option, eliminate it, scribble it out, so that when it comes to question number 2, you only have to choose from 7. And then once you've chosen that one, eliminate it. And when you get to question 3, now you're only choosing from 6. And what this does is it speeds up the time it takes to process and find the information you need. You're not going to be distracted by rereading the questions that you've already eliminated. So if you've completed a question on the IELTS exam, cross it out. If you've used an answer, cross it out. Another strategy that you can use is called the process of elimination. And this is where, when you have a list of options, as you glance over them and look at them first when you're reading the questions, you will see that some are probably obviously incorrect, obviously not an option that you're going to use. This is very true in, for example, multiple choice, where you have one question and you have 4 options to choose from. Take a quick look at all 4. It may be very clear to you that one of them, or even 2, are not an option at all. So scribble them out. And then when you're looking for the answer to that question, you're only looking for one of two options. So eliminating answers that you've completed, eliminating options that you've already chosen and used, and using this process of elimination can go a long way to helping you, again, be more efficient and find answers quicker. And then the final tip that I want to leave you with today, and this is so important when you have a limited time to answer 40 questions, you need to keep moving forward. And the first thing I want to say about this is, if you miss a question, don't panic. Leave it alone, because again, your time is limited. So if you, with your practice, you'll understand how long you have to answer a specific question. And if you've discovered that you can average 45 seconds to a minute to answer a question, and that's the time frame you have to stay within, once you've used up your 45 seconds or a minute, and if you haven't found the answer, it's time to move on to the next one, because your goal, remember, is to get as many correct as possible. If you have time left over at the end of the reading section, then you can go back and look for those missed answers. But remember, you get 1 point for every correct answer, so you want to get as many correct as possible, and you don't lose any for missed or incorrect questions. So just keep moving. And one more little strategy is I want to mention, as you're moving forward, try to look at questions in pairs, 2 questions at a time. And this will help you with this strategy of moving forward. So for example, let's say you have 5 questions to answer. As you begin looking for question number 1, look at number 2 as well. So that, for example, if you find question number 1, then you know that next question number 2 is going to follow right after, somewhere in that text. But here's another way that this works. Let's say you've answered questions 1 and 2, and now you're looking for questions 3 and 4. And as you're looking, you know where you found number 1, you know where you found number 2, and you're looking for number 3. And as you're looking for number 3, and you also know what you're looking for number 4, you suddenly find the answer to number 4, but not number 3. So you write in the answer to number 4. But what this tells you is that somewhere between where you found the answer to number 2 in the text and somewhere between where you found number 4 in the text, in between the answer to number 2 and number 4 is where you're going to find the answer to question number 3. So this can go, again, a long way to shortening the time it takes you to find that information. But the most important thing is to just keep moving forward. And I want to encourage you to keep practicing for the IELTS reading section. I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you can find all the information you need for every question type in the reading section. I've provided a link to the playlist, and I've also provided a link to the keyword strategy video. So along with these tips and those further videos, you have everything you need to be successful in the reading section of the IELTS exam.